Almost. He almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments. Anything.
Well, I have the gun.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistols. I've seen you prance around with those. Jumping hoops for the Liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons, eh? Going against automatic rifles with a flame bomb. Of course you got all those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it?
The lieutenant looks at the weapon demonstratively. Dramatically ask, "You think we have the murder weapon?"
4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it.
All right, then I'm calling it. It's the murder weapon.
Good.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and draws a single line. Another skill point.
This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
The old man does not say more. He just glances into the reeds and then twitches again.
This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more.
What am I forgetting? Hit yourself on the side of the head.
Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof.
My head hurts now.
Who cares? There were Maybells in the grass when you got here, and on Clausia's balcony. Is this a coincidence?
I don't know.
Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now, they're gonna come up.
Are they? Ow.
Yes, ouch. So good, it hurts. Those were not modern prints.
What brand of boots are you wearing? Well, let's talk about the Maybells.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He seems tender suddenly, nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away.
I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martinique, only here.
They blossom on the islets before. We fertilized them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it.
South, the Bay of Martinez is dotted with little freckles of islets, turning green, with white flowers in white snow.
The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
There you go, Kim.
I may.
A curious tremor passes his face. A young woman called Clausia. Flowers like these were behind her window.
Clausia.
You know her, right? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary.
With the victim.
He turns his sight from the whitening field of flowers and falls silent. Then the muscles in his jaw twitch. A spasm.
Don't leave any loose ends. Get him on everything.
What brand of boots are you wearing?
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
He looks at his running shoes covered in mud.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Doras.
Fucking imbecile.
The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of the worn-out old running shoes on his feet.
The maker is called Sensorique, and the size is 42 to 44. These are not the unusual horizontal pattern soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
The lieutenant comes to the same conclusion. Drama? Maybe it's simpler than that.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
People change shoes. It doesn't mean you weren't there. Sneaking around.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood.
He was a killer. He was still under the protection of the law. He was a soldier, too. He was a man.
Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
He breathes through flared nostrils.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
So you shot him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye, his fists begin to tremble from the anger.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling.
Hold your breath.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase. And I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth.
He begins to smile.
I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her.
Then what?
Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
A single word is all he gives.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The lieutenant takes out his notebook, slowly. Very slowly.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
He shrugs, then smacks his lips.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
We need a motive? Because I think we got it.
You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant's preparing the ground.
He thinks he's still in a war.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
Why were you looking at them that night?
I'm always looking.
He cocks his head to the side, then turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his right side, lower in intensity.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
You pull the trigger.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. Start with when he first saw him. It will give him a chance to ramble.
When did you first see the deceased?
3 weeks ago, when the rich hag came in on her galley. Her honor guard came in tow.
Joyce. He means Joyce.
You mean the Joyce, the Wild Pines rep?
Wrinkled up whore.
Good strong word. What's with these whores and pest rats? All right, sure. What's with the terms?
Black sexual morals are a bourgeois ploy. As to pederasty, the party legalized it in '04. My party, not your liberal masters.
He spits out on the dying coals.
So don't you sermonize me, you racist shithole. It's still bourgeois when the bourgeois does it, fiddling with their sexual organs.
Okay. Moving on. The victim arrives sometime after her.
They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy and drunk. I've seen their kind during the landing. Those Occidental and Mesk phalangs weren't conscripts. Boys like us. They were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt.
Whites?
Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing, in the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see they've returned now to show their real face. The face they don't dare show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi with their families and polyester clothes.
What specifically did you not like about what you saw the night of the murder?
Them fucking. I didn't like that.
Okay.
Splat. A bloody spitball lands on the firewood.
I was going to ask you were jealous, and I didn't think that was an appropriate question. And it looks like I didn't. Okay. Maybe if I'd said that, he would have explained. Well, let's try it.
Them. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself.
There we go.
Drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
This man has seen past her, like you did. And now he longs to see her covered in blood.
Jeez.
To punish her.
How long have you been watching her?
Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
She's planning her passport.
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
What do you think she hid there?
Her passport and tickets to Liara. And from there to Cachet Brut.
The hidden buoy she told us about, did you look into it?
After she was gone.
Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty.
No. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I'd put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better.
This implies that he's thought about extorting her. Also, a little inconsistency here. He was surprised to hear her name Clausia before. Would he not have seen it on the documents?
You know that's not her real name. Well, we checked the submersible and there was nothing there.
Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers.
He looks to the reeds, confused. I want to know what her name was.
You didn't say Clausia in there.
Yeah. What was her name?
It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face on the photo.
Did you continue watching her after this?
I did. She had a face like an archipelago with those birthmarks. And a body hard and lean and bruised all over. Black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook. On the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
The bruises. You can't make that out in a scope.
How'd you see her bruises?
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
How does he know the minute details about her body? All right. Footprints in the dust could have changed shoes, found the peephole.
It quickly comes to you.
Any chance you saw them through a hole in the wall?
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Ever see her through a window on a roof?
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass.
So you've been through the secret route behind the rolling rags. Those were your footprints there. You just changed your shoes.
I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny.
That too.
Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
He keeps shaking his head.
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
He points toward the whirling rags.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
You wanted to punish her, so you killed him.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
He shakes his head and stares at the ashes.
While he stands here and rots.
Say nothing.
The old man raises his gaze. Something glimmers in the corner of his black eye. A bitter taste on his tongue.
You had feelings for her?
There's There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know.
There have been others?
Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something.
Was that why you left the dried flowers behind her window?
No.
He starts to shake his head again, a sunflower on a withered stalk. Why then?
I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of our room on the floor, like she does sometimes.
When was this?
The day after I killed him.
And you brought her Maybells?
Yes. I don't know why I do the things I do anymore.
He looks at the charred logs.
It's as if something put the thought there, to leave the flowers.
You wanted to console her.
Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you. If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
He wipes his eye.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
So it wasn't about him, it was about her.
Her.
He stares at the ashes, then the reeds. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement.
We have so many skill points now.
That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days.
She got away. I don't know where she is. She got away, but she let us here first. She figured out someone was watching her from the sea fort.
Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week at the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
Midtown, across the Bay of Revachol, the oceanic wind washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lausanne's Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in the sky by a web of suspension wiring, encircled by hybrid aircraft.
Look north.
On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Yet still, she smiles among the crowd, among the great ghosts of the city she's leaving, for another, far south. Smaller, distant, hidden, not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the night below her. Streetlights, towers, tenements, and water, and across it, a dark strip of ruins, barely visible if she didn't squint her eyes. There, on a dilapidated jetty, in a nameless village, 2 police officers and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. The ruins of a sea fort stick out of the water, built by Philippe II, reappropriated by the Commune, then lost in the landing. He's there, doing what exactly, I don't know. Satellite Officer Vic Mayer points at the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something. That's why we can't see him. Special Consultant Heidelstein is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get a coffee until then. I know this interesting little place. Where? His voice trails off as the 3 walk down the jetty.
It's like they've been trailing him the whole time.
As the men go, Patrol Officer Minnow looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification like a rotten tooth rising out of the water. Good luck, Harry, she thinks. You need something good for this.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? You could get more out of him. He likes talking. Enough. Take him in. bend his arms behind his back and end this.
Been looking at anything else you haven't liked?
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
And more specifically?
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst.
How come?
Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries.
He points inland.
Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it.
Mr. Clare?
Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class.
Don't interrupt. Let him finish.
Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. Intense, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs.
He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. Nod.
The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day.
Hey!
It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too.
You leave Renee and what's-his-face alone.
Every morning
Gaston.
he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Coyamorang, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children.
Say nothing.
That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead.
Nod.
We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores.
What follows is ominous mumbling. You can't make out a single word.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
All right. The statue?
Syphilis is a disease Philippe III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination.
Abomination?
The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
He breathes in a wheeze of hatred.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues, too. Hundreds of them.
It's still there.
What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why?
Because you forgot to take it down, because the king is holy, because cynical advertising yuppies erected a deconstructed version of it.
That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working-class plastic explosives. And there it is again.
Honest working-class plastic explosives.
Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata.
You mentioned McClare being a farce of a social democrat.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the union's top brass.
Who's a disappointment? Everett Clare?
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
Everett doesn't run the union?
That mobster toad couldn't run a shithouse. He has no political education. His twin, Edgar Clare, that one's been to one of those East Revachol universities. He talks a big game about uprising and alienation and so on.
He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. They must have met in person for such animosity to have developed.
So we're not the first people you've met from the city.
You can't live alone.
He's stopped poking at the ash now, just shakes his head.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course, maybe the Clears asked him to. Don't go straight for the kill. Exhaust everything else first. Soften him up.
Have you approached them?
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains.
He points to the path leading to the tower.
Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things.
When was this?
20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
What'd you talk about?
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzov. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzov. Oh, and charity, too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought.
And he let you be here?
Let me be here? The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
Did you kill the Crenel mercenary for the Clares to incite a riot?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something.
What was the deal between him and Edgar? What do you mean by... Oh, do I want to ask? By the cock parading in his colorful uniform, you meant Renee.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game.
Oh my god.
I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A patank maniac race traitor.
Just nod.
I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the Liberals came to their rescue. We missed one.
Jesus.
That one.
With a shaky finger, he points to the city toward the crater near the plaza where a lonely pine tree stands.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
Just nod.
Fat and plump, like a pheasant, just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross, shoot me.
You'd like to kill him?
Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
Save the treat for later.
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day, the blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, René. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood.
Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him?
Tell me something else.
Yes, of course. Must be passing a kidney stone. I hope it's excruciating. At least it keeps him from throwing his balls.
He seems relieved. Could he have been worried for him? He reminds him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of another thing, but no. It's just the hatred.
Let's talk about disco.
Whores.
That's all he says. Even that word has to be pushed through his teeth with great force. The rage seized too hard. Should I pump another point into logic? I've got... Holy cow. Okay, yeah, sure.
The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
20 years ago when you met Edgar, the Clares didn't run the Union, did they?
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
Who did?
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
His eyes glistened suddenly with hatred. She was also a woman, like Klasia.
She was. And she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muskova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work.
And then she just disappeared.
Called in, they say, on the eve of battle. ran away, vanished like a piss stain.
He squints and smiles at the black logs.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not.
You could swear you see the embers glow again under his eyes on the dust. Edgar had someone make the call. Why is that?
She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is, the bend in the river.
Why?
Because she was dead.
Say nothing?
The cow caught a bullet in her right lung, fell into the canal grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled. Hard to say. It was a sloppy job, and a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins.
It was you. Make a motion like shooting a rifle.
It was someone. Someone shot her.
He shrugs. His eyes grow cold suddenly.
Or maybe she just fell. I get these violent ideations. My memory is filled with holes, especially the 30s. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk.
The lieutenant says in a voice even calmer, as if it were nothing at all.
We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Go shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything.
But you did do it.
I saw it happen, and I liked it. That's all I have to say. I didn't live and fight for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it on Channel 8, 40 AM, Radio Revachol, late night. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
He looks to the city.
The same old freezing hatred. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed.
Do I want to dig in about Renee?
Yes, where is he? I hope he doesn't have debilitating arthritis. Or kidney stones. He can still come out to play with balls and get shot in the head, right?
Oh my God. He's even worried for him.
Renee's dead. He died of old age a couple days ago.
No.
Just kidding. Yeah.
I waited too long. I waited too long and now he's dead?
His blackberry eyes shake in disbelief.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dross. I understand you knew him for a long time.
They're all dead now. Fuck it.
He shakes his head.
If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. There must have been 1,000 black days on these islands. His health ailing.
You had 1,000 chances.
And I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. ancient dust.
He reminded him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of something else, but no. It's just hatred.
He cared about him.
All human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing his head explode. Now, God damn this world.
I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
He stares at the ground, seemingly to the island you're on. Are you okay to go on?
You think I haven't seen people die? It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had. To love. To colonize the Pale. It's all fucked.
He's not okay. This is just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, making him endure.
Alright, let's talk about other stuff.
Glad we talked about what?
I want to ask again about people you don't like.
His lip curls
Nope.
into a sneer at the memory.
Glad we talked about what?
Composure. Alright. Composure, composure, composure. Wait. Stay put? Can I do that?
I ain't going anywhere.
Nice. Save.
The old man stares despondently at the logs. It's like he's forgotten you're there. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild,
He's surprisingly okay.
indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated.
By what?
It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair.
Dementia?
You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile.
Would a foul temper be a byproduct of his life?
Perhaps, but his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder.
Mr. Dross, are you okay? How's your memory? Which we know he has problems.
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there.
There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course.
It's all bad. I guess you're under arrest. I don't have anything else.
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
The old man's eyes fill with sudden, unexpected terror.
This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting. The wind picks up. The silence on the water is broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. The lieutenant continues, like an incantation.
Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand?
But...
Kimmy's afraid.
No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
Does it have room? Wait. There's a red check. I failed. No.
But it's just the reeds.
Something important. It's something